see you guys in the dark.
I work at GameStop. It's a great job, and I'm surrounded by everything that I enjoy. Video games, anime, and the things like that. I am attractive, or so I've been told. I'm not saying this to be conceited. It just makes the story make more sense. And I've even been told by my manager that that's why he hired me, because a large percentage of our customers are males. I mainly work on the registers. This job consists of greeting people when they walk in, and of course, working the register. It was getting close to closing time, and I was the only one up front at this time. I was getting started with my closing duties when I heard the buzzer that goes off when the door opens. Without looking, I welcome the customer here. "Hi, welcome to GameStop. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with." Normally, I get a hello, or they respond with a question, but it was silent. I look up from behind the counter, and I see the man that just entered the door looking directly at me. But once my eyes met his, he looked away and started looking at the games on the shelf. I shrugged it off. It's normal for male customers to not greet me, because they think because I'm female, I don't have valid knowledge about video games. And I continue with my closing duties. I'm bent behind the counter when I feel someone standing on the other side. It's the man. He puts the games on the counter and says nothing. I grab the games from the drawers when I proceed with the normal questions we ask. "Did you find everything all right? Do you have a phone number with us? Do you want us to protect this game for you?" My questions get met with silence, and all he does is stare at me. I turn my attention back to the register, and while finishing up the transaction, I can feel his eyes digging into the side of my head. I print out his receipt, put his game in a bag, and he takes and turns around to leave. I again shrug this interaction off, because again, it's not out of the ordinary for me. It's almost time for me to pull down the gates and lock up when I get a call. I groan because I think it's a customer trying to wiggle their way in before we close, and I pick up the phone. There's heavy breathing. Hi, thank you for calling GameStop. This is so-and-so. How may I help you?" I was just inside purchasing some games. "Oh, was something wrong with the purchase?" "No, I'm just calling to let you know that I received your signals." At this point, I'm extremely confused because I treated him like any other customer. I'm not sure what you mean, sir." He said this with a little more stern. "I'm calling to let you know I picked up on your signals." Although I know I should have hung up, but I was curious as to what he was referring to. "You are very beautiful, and your signals were received. When do you get off? I'll be waiting for you." At this point in the conversation, I just hung up, and I rushed forward and closed the gates, locked up the store. I went into the back and told my manager about the phone call. He said after I finished closing up, he would take me home, because my apartment complex is very close, so I just walk. As I was quickly replacing the trash bags, I saw a car pull up right in front of the store and park. No one got out. Luckily, my manager parked out back, and we left out the back door. I never saw that guy again, but every time I walk home, I think about that one particular customer. This happened about 3 years ago in college. I worked at a GameStop near my school that was situated inside of a mall. Working as a young female in a GameStop is almost as you might expect. Talked down to, flirted with, but since all my managers were grown men, they were super cool and amazing. I didn't worry much at all, as they shut down any issues or took problem cases. This one guy was a bit different of a case. It was sometime in the fall, near the end of my shift with my manager. At 8:30 p.m., a guy walks in and starts looking around. I don't mind him, and since we close at 9, I was organizing the shelves and displays while my manager was behind the counter. It was about 5 minutes in when I caught sight of the guy behind me just staring at me. I assumed that I was in the way and moved to the other side of the store to clean. It was a decent-sized store, and I moved from the Xbox station to the PS4 station. Then he was behind me yet again, not saying anything or doing anything. He was just there, looking at me, but not trying to look like he was staring at me. I mutter an "excuse me" and move again. PS4 was in the back of the store, so I moved up front with the collectibles. It was around 8:45, and he was behind me again. At this point, even my manager noticed, but due to our store being under constant stress from our district manager, we didn't want to start an issue. I kept cleaning and ignoring the guy lingering around me. 9 p.m. hits, and I think finally this guy will leave. No, not really. When closing rolls around, we can't right up tell shoppers to leave because it's bad service. So my manager politely asks if the guy needs anything or is ready to be checked out because we are closing soon. The guy mutters something, leaves without making a purchase. I'm thinking it's the end of it. We close and lock the doors, have a good chuckle about the weirdo. I start to vacuum, and the manager counts the registers. As I'm vacuuming, I notice movement outside the glass storefront, and the guy is there staring at me. When he sees that I see him, he walks away. For 10 minutes, the guy paces in front of the store. Now I'm officially skeeved, and my manager, soft giant bear of a man, is pissed off. He tells me to go into the back. Don't gotta tell me twice. I stayed by the door to hear and watch the interaction on the security feed. Can I help you, sir? We're closed. My manager says with the most intimidating voice that I've heard in my life from him.
I want to talk to the girl.
This guy's voice was even more intimidating despite being smaller than my manager. I was afraid for my manager for a second. She doesn't want to talk to you. You have to leave or I'll call security. They bicker for a little while longer about him wanting to talk with me before he leaves. After work, my manager walked me to the train station. Made me keep contact with him until I was on that train. Apparently the guy came back a couple of times during my days off and asked about me, and my manager told him off, until he never came back again. Don't know if he was banned or what. It was one of my weirder work situations. I went by myself to a local game shop a few miles away from my house. After picking up my game, I got back into my car and pulled out of the parking lot to drive home. I immediately noticed that the dirty black Jeep that pulled out of the parking lot at the same time as me was now behind me and driving like a complete asshole. This dude was riding my ass and swerving back and forth like he was trying to get my attention. Although this was very annoying, I wasn't really concerned at this point. I tried merging lanes, but he stayed right behind me, merging along with me. I decided to speed up, and he also made sure to tailgate me as close to 70 miles per hour. I began to panic and took a shortcut through some quiet residential areas. The street was empty, so I veered into the neighborhood and ran a stop sign. The black Jeep ran the stop sign as well and was still driving recklessly close behind me. It was getting dark at the time, so I wasn't able to see the driver through the rearview mirror, but his license plate was clearly visible. I immediately called 911 and offed the plate. The officer told me to meet them at the Ralph's on the other side of the neighborhood where I was heading. It took me about 10 minutes to get there, but it felt like an hour with this creepy weird car lugging behind me. I finally entered the shopping plaza, and I noticed the police weren't here yet. I began to circle the parking lot, and he continued behind me. I circled the plaza 6 times before I saw 2 cop cars pull in. The black Jeep immediately took a turn, drove over a grass divider, and booked it out of the shopping center. One of the cop cars chased him out, and the other met with me to fill out an incident report. I never found out what happened with that person in the Jeep. So a few days ago, I'm walking downtown in the mid-afternoon when I become aware of a presence walking behind me. It's a busy city and a crowded street, so I don't think much of it. But this man stays right behind me for a few blocks. I can hear his breathing behind me, becoming ragged and coarse. His breathing gets heavier and heavier as he follows me. I don't want to turn around or make eye contact, but I can sense him following me. Then I hear him say it. "Honey, if you don't slow down, I'll never catch up to you." I get terrified. I feel my blood run cold, and I whip around to confront him. He's big, at least a foot taller than me, and I can see on his chest one of those little sticky paper ID tags. It's from a mental hospital. A mental patient has been following me for blocks, and is now trying to get me to slow down. I turn away, and immediately cross the street, not looking back at all. But he appeared to stop following me at that point. I'm just still terrified by the incident. This is probably how this would end if it was written by a woman. But it's not. I'm that guy. And this is how I became someone's stalker. I have been out of the office for over a week due to a nasty bout of bronchitis that utterly wiped me out, and my girlfriend. My poor loving partner who nursed me back to health had now herself become stuck at home. It was my first day back at work, and feeling bad for her, I decided to try and do something nice for her. She's an avid player of Elder Scrolls Online, you see, which just released a new expansion set, and that expansion allowed for a new class, and she had put off getting the expansion in order to focus on picking up the slack from my illness. So I decide that I'm going to get it for her. I decide on my lunch break to hit a nearby GameStop and get her the digital code. So on my lunch, I head out. Now here's the thing. The local GameStop and my office are on opposite sides of a very large hill. Also, I've been sick all week with bronchitis. Now I get to GameStop, buy the digital code, and text her a picture of it along with a message very jokingly telling her that she needs to wait till I get home to play it, because I'll never catch up otherwise. Then I start heading back to the office, and I start walking back up the hill. This is where the heat and the humidity, and the fact that I'm walking up a hill after, once again having bronchitis, starts to take its toll. And I begin, I'm quite sure very audibly, breathing heavily. I also just happen to be walking the exact path of a woman who has ended up directly in front of me, and I've now been walking behind her for a couple of blocks. Now, two important things about me. I'm a tech nerd, so I have the smartwatch and Bluetooth earbuds. Whole 9 yards, you see. Second, I'm a big dude, and the 6'2", 240-pound college athlete who works out a lot, and who can probably fuck you up. I'm a very scary-looking guy. I'm a goddamn teddy bear who posts pictures of his cat on Reddit and wouldn't hurt a soul, but I'm fully aware that in the wrong context, I'm pretty terrifying. So what's the tech nerd relevance here? Smartwatch, Bluetooth. Girlfriend calls me, and I tap my watch to pick up the call without taking the phone out of my pocket, which syncs to my Bluetooth earbuds. My girlfriend hears that audible chime on her end, and knowing that I've picked up, launches into how she couldn't wait, and she's already playing it without me. And then when I, quite jokingly, as I'm glad she's feeling up to it, tells her, "Honey, if you don't slow down, I'll never catch up." And the woman ahead of me freaks out and whips around. I immediately realize, holy shit, she thinks that I'm talking to her, because I'm not even holding a phone. I've been following her for the last 2 blocks, audibly wheezing. And then I realize something else. Remember how I said it was my first day back at work? I still wasn't 100%, and I had left my work ID at home, and I work in a very secure government building, the kind of building that doesn't just let you into it, even if all the security guards know your face because you've been there 10 years now. I had no ID. You still gotta get a near cavity search level screen in, and then wait for HR to verify that you still work there. And no, you're not a disgruntled employee looking to steal confidential files or something like that. Once you've had your morning colonoscopy, they do give you an ID, those little visitor badges, so you can come and go into the building throughout the day without having to have your pride and personal boundaries violated every single time. And this little sticky badge that I still had stuck to my chest bears the name of the government agency for which I work. I work for the Department of Mental Health, because despite looking like someone who may have at one point in his life had a nickname like Moose, which has on occasion, I think, led some to initially think the impression that I might be a tad bit slow on the uptake, I am actually the Regional Legal Director and Deputy Chief Counsel of the State Office of Health and Human Services. Her eyes move to the badge. She stays motionless for a moment, then turns and quickly hustles down a side street. It was at that moment I say to my girlfriend, "I think some lady just thought that I was trying to kidnap her. So here's to you, downtown lady," who I'm pretty sure thought that I was some heavy-breathing pervert mental patient instead of a government bureaucrat who was just trying to do something nice for his girlfriend on his lunch break while vastly overestimating his own physical well-being. If we ever do meet again, I'm afraid that your heart just won't take it. But I am truly sorry. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.